feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Hey, good to be back. Good to be back for this Saturday night. Great episode of Cold Justice. About a year and a half in the making. About 18 months since the last episode aired. Roughly. I think it was like Feb last year. They did the last season. I think it ended in March. So almost a year and a half. And it's been a long wait. Normally we get a season every 12 months, but this one's been a bit of a gap between the season 7 and season 8. But this one had a very good cold case out of Kenosha County, and we're going to look at it tonight. I'm excited to tell you about this one because sometimes on Cold Justice you don't get a sort of resolution, and then sometimes you do. You get a good ending. So this one has a good ending. So here, let me set this up. Hey guys, good to see you. Good to be out. Good to be back. Good to be out here tonight again. Uh, hey, good to see you. You got to meet Kelly Siegler at CrimeCon? Yeah, I heard she was out there. That's cool. I'd love to meet Kelly. Yeah, you laughed at the neighbor Rick. Yeah, that's a pretty mean name to call him, right? Rick the P word. You didn't see it? There is a replay. There's a replay happening at, I think it's in half an hour for the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, it's on in half an hour. So it'll premiere then. Hey, good to see you guys. Hey, Dan Yee, Mama Mia, Chipmunks here, Lynn D. Kim is here. Good to see you. Marlene Clausen, Marilyn Landis, John is here. Alpha is here. Who else is here? Robbie T made it. Who else? Liza. Hey, Liza. LMS. Did I miss anyone? Hope I didn't miss anyone. All right. So on your screen, you can see David. His name is David Vanderzee, and he is the unfortunate victim in this particular case. And I'll read you through sort of like a little bit of the rundown of like what are the particulars of this particular case. So this dates back to 2003. David is a Navy veteran, and he was found shot 5 times in the back of the head inside his town of Randall home on the evening of September 23rd, 2003. His body was discovered by his wife of just 2 months, Roxana, and they're saying now more than 2 decades later, Cold Justice has come in to help the PD try and solve this cold case. Now, for the longest time, rumors had swirled around this town. People that were around at the time sort of all had a feeling of what had happened here. But for some reason, the police just could never tie it together. For whatever reason, over the passage of time, they decided to try again with the help of Cold Justice. Now, this guy, you can imagine being married for 2 months. 2 months, that's it. And he is brutally gunned down 5 times in the back of the head. Here, I'm going to show you a very happy photo, if I can grab it. I'm going to show you a photo from their wedding day, if I've got it. We've got a lot of photos to get through. Here. So this is from the episode tonight. There is their photo. There's their wedding photo. Look how lovely they look. Sorta. 2 months after this photo, he was shot dead. Shot dead. killed, and his wife, this lady you see in the photo, Roxana, found his body inside of their house. Now, I'm going to show you that photo of exactly how he was located. This is how she found him when she returned home, like this, lying on the floor, shot, and very much dead. Now, she made a 911 call after this, and they detail this in the show. And she's on this 911 call. She sounds exactly sort of how you expect. She's all like, "Oh my God, I came home and he's not moving." And you are, trying to make it seem very dramatic, although it is dramatic. Someone died. And then the 911 operator starts asking her some more pointed questions like, is he alive? Is he breathing? And some other things like, what happened to him? Like, how is he injured? And she just sort of runs away from the phone and goes to their neighbor and goes, "You talk to them." Um, and then she lets something slip. While talking to that neighbor, she says, "I think he's been shot." And this will come back into play later on because the detectives and cold justice will ask, how did she know he had been shot? If she didn't know, like on this phone call, she's like, "I don't know what happened. I just came home. He's lying on the floor. There's a lot of blood." And then she tells the neighbor he's been shot. So suddenly, when she's not on the phone call to the 911, she seems to know exactly what happened. So that is unfortunately how he was found in his home. There was no forced entry into this home, so no one broke in, no one jimmied a door, nothing like that. And they say in the show that must mean whoever shot and killed him, whoever shot and killed David, must have been comfortable enough, and David must have known them to let them in and just sort of, you know, no protection or anything, just like, "Hey, come in, it's all good." So it is not like someone broke in the middle of the night or, something like. There's another photo of David there for you from the show this evening. I am not learning Japanese. Are you learning Japanese? I hope. I'm not learning any Japanese. All right. So that's where the investigation begins, right? So we have David shot in his home. His wife of 2 months finds her, and suddenly everyone's like, "Oh, okay, that's strange." After the murder happens, she runs off and reattaches herself to another guy. And this other guy, and I'm going to tell you, his name is John. And he is a big part of this episode. So very, very quickly after the death of her husband, she starts moving in with John. And I'm going to show you a photo of him if I have one. I should have one. Hold on. I don't think that's him. Sorry, we took a lot of photos, screenshots for this one. Let's see. Da-da. By the way, Marilyn Anders talks about this neighbor. Here's the neighbor that they call Rick the P word. There you go. Rick the P word. We'll talk more about Rick the P word later, but I just wanted to show that because Marilyn Landis brings it up. All right, here's from their whiteboard, okay? This one. Yeah. So from the show, they have their whiteboard set up, okay? So there's David, and there's his wife, and there's their sort of mock up of his side of things. And if we go here, down here, here's a photo. They did these sketches in the show. They look like this. Here's a sketch of her, Roxana. That's their sketch of her from the show. All right. So they start breaking down this, and they're like, okay, well, who could have wanted this guy dead. And they're saying, well, he was a bit of a shut in. He sort of spoke to his family. He had his partner. He didn't really, you know, do much else other than that. His whole world was sort of this relationship he had with Roxana. This is the other thing they thought was strange too. On the night he was shot and killed in his home, he had been making food. So he'd been making his dinner, expecting his wife to come home any minute, and they were going to, get down to after work type stuff, eat some food, and do their evening routine. And the food was still cooking and, waiting for someone to eat it when he was killed. So they found that a bit strange too. No forced entry. Someone he must have trusted because it was no. Yeah, I'll show you the door latch. Look, no one busted this door latch open. No one was like, "Hey, uh, let's use a crowbar and open this up." No, that didn't happen. So no forced entry, food cooking on the stove. So apparently they were eating whatever that was. I'm not even sure what it is. Someone would have to tell me. But he had this and a steak or meat. It's in the off side of this photo. So they had a couple of things cooking. So it sounds like they were expecting his wife. Doesn't seem like he was expecting a big party or something. And from that point on, like I said, after he was killed, she ran off and got together with that other guy. And I'm going to show you his photo from now. I don't think I have a photo from the show of what he looked like back then. But this is him on the right here. This is what she looks like today, Roxana. And here, let me read through this for you. I'll read this bit. So inside the house, they found David lying face down with his right arm under his body and his left arm forward of his head, like you saw in the photo. And they say there was a large pool of blood under David. And police determined he was shot execution style in the back of the head 5 times. So it's not like a one-time thing, 5 times. Someone really wanted to make sure he was dead. The wallet of the victim was found inside the home, and they said that there was no sign of forced entry or defensive wounds at all. So they think that he may not have even seen the gunshot coming. That whoever he led into that place, he probably had his back turned to them. So someone he trusted most likely, or someone he was comfortable enough with to let them into the house and not be on guard, not have to have his like defenses up, enough to turn his back, continue with his cooking or whatever. And they showed some of the photos here. Very unfortunately, here is one of the wounds from the gunshots that unfortunately killed him. So very, very brutal death. They think it came from behind, came through and hit his jaw. And then I think they said there was another wound at the front here. And they were talking about how it had this star-shaped pattern that when it goes through the skin and those gases explode forward, you get this sort of star-shaped exit wound. So they think it hit him just under the ear, traveled forward and exited. I think they said just on his chin, just down here. So pretty brutal. Thinks it came from behind him with his back turned. So again, someone he probably should have, probably someone he thought was okay to let in. Texas said, looks like potatoes with bell pepper, maybe like potato hash. Could be, could be. Marlene said, a killer other than his wife would not have shut off the gas on the stove. Oh, you think it's the wife? I don't know. Could be. Could be. We have heard a lot of stories about wives wanting to kill people, especially husbands of 2 months. All right. So now you've seen it. You've seen a little bit of the crime scene. Here's another photo to show you that like no cash or anything was taken from the crime scene. Like just stuff lying around. It's not like someone tried to burglarize the apartment. I'm going to see if I have a photo of how they think. Yep, here we go. So they did a reenactment on the show of how the crime scene or how the murder happened. And they believe he was shot once, that disabled him. And then when he was on the ground, this position, and then fired more shots into him to kill him. So they really wanted to make sure he was dead. Not like one shot and be like, I think it killed him, and they ran away. No, they shot him once. When he was on the ground, they continued to fire into him above his body. Like they said, execution style murder. Yeah, pretty brutal. Um, sorry, I didn't think it was that bad. Maybe Ping is desensitized to crime scenes, unfortunately. Um, yeah, yeah. There's more graphic ones. I'm not going to show them because we'll get kicked off YouTube. I'm not going to show you the other views of the crime scene. I just wanted to show you the one that was like furthest away, so you could see how the sort of lay of the land, so to speak, was. So Wendy says a cowardly way to kill someone, especially from behind, and then when they are uh, incapacitated, you take that firearm and you shoot them again, always from the back, never face on with your victim. People usually blur everything, so I was not expecting it. I try not to blur things unless I have to. I'm like, hey, this was on cable TV, although they show naked ladies on cable TV too. So there you go. I guess maybe Ping is in the wrong. All right. I want to show you some call records, and this might be one of the most interesting parts of their investigation. So let me grab this. So Limo John is what they call John. This is her other lover. This is Roxana's other lover. And this is the day here, September 23rd, 2003. And this outlines what what she was doing on that day, what her mobile phone was doing. And 7:46 a.m., so many hours, almost 12 hours before she calls 911. She calls Limo John, and they were saying during the show at 7:46 in the morning, the first thing you want to do when you get up in the morning is call some guy who's not your husband. Like, why would you need to do that at 7:45 in the morning? Wouldn't you want to talk to your husband, not Limo John? And then there's a bit of a gap. 1:29 p.m., Limo John calls Roxana. Then down here, she calls David, her partner, at 2:55 p.m. At 5:43 p.m., Roxana calls Limo John again. At 6:43 p.m., Roxana calls David at home. At 6:46 p.m., 3 minutes later, Limo John calls her, so returns the call. Then at 7:36 p.m., Roxana calls Limo John's home. You see a pattern here. At 8:11 p.m., Limo John calls Roxana, and then 9 minutes later at 8:20 p.m., Roxana calls 911 saying that she has found her husband's body in her home. Limo John, time for a pickup. Kim said this was a cold case. It was a cold case for about 20 years. Yep, cold case. Why it was a cold case, I don't know. But I'm guessing it was one of those cases where they could see what had happened, but they didn't have enough evidence to push on the for charges. I think that's most likely the scenario. Limo John sounds like a video game character. He does sound very video game-ish. He does. Very sort of video game. Here, I'm going to show you a photo. Actually, I do have an old photo of Limo John. Here's a photo of him right here. Bit pixelated, but hey, it was 25 years ago or something. She later married or moved in with Mr. Limo John just very quickly after the murder. So after the murder of her husband David, she shacked up with this guy. within moments. She says they met online on some sort of site like, Plenty of Fish or one of those online dating sites, and that, oh, everything was above board, and they got together very naturally. It just happened after the murder. Well, they think most likely not. He says they were just friends before the murder, that they were just good friends. They were nothing but acquaintances who called each other at 7:43 in the morning. So I don't know what you think about that, but I don't think that acquaintances call each other. Like, if you look at that call record, she barely spoke to David. She spoke to David at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then spoke to him at 6:43 p.m. in the evening, and all these other calls were all to Limo John. She says at around this time, around 5 to 6 p.m., she was out shopping, and they were sort of detailing that in their household between David and Roxana, David was sort of all of the decision making. He is the one who basically anything financial had to go through him. What she did had to go through him. What they were eating for dinner had to go through him. He was considered very controlling, and they found it very strange that for someone who had to get permission to spend money or, uh, you know, to do anything with their financial type of thing, that she was out this evening on a shopping spree. The night that her husband is murdered, just randomly, she's out spending money. And this is for a couple who had some money issues, and according to David's brother, often had to borrow money from their mother. So she's just out there on a shopping spree on the night that her husband is murdered. So Marlene said this was a cold case for 25 years. It was 25 years and had not been solved until cold justice got in the investigation. This is something here. I want to show you something. This was in part of their investigation. They say during their investigation, Roxana was interviewed several times, and they say here that she sort of found out that he had been posting nude photos of himself on the internet, and apparently had been talking to ex-girlfriends. Roxana claimed David was controlling, and yeah, so all the things that I told you. When they searched the home and they took David's computer, this will come back up a bit later. They found nude photos of Roxana on his computer, like very kinky type photos. So, along with this whole posting nude photos of himself online, they also found photos of her. I'm going to see if I have that quote for you. No, I don't. All right. Yeah. So, just a weird. Don't do this. All right. There we go. I want to show you this because this is very interesting. So, Mr. Limo John, and they're saying he had a girlfriend. Her name was Janie Dunham. Uh, she said here that he had told her that he was going fishing. So during the night of the murder, Mr. Limo John had gone fishing. So I'm guessing that's what we always do. One of them goes shopping, spending money that they don't have, and the other one goes fishing. And they were saying that this was at the wrong time of year. Normally, at this time of year in September, you're not really going fishing. It's not. It's more like a summer activity, not really a September type activity. Apparently, it's sort of the wrong time of year in that area to go night fishing or evening fishing. So C. Taylor said, did they also find photos of him or was she making that up? I don't know. They didn't mention. They just said that that was the allegation that she had said that he was posting these nude photos online, uh, sort of talking to other women and things like that, and that he also had photos of her on his computer. When they interview her later on, she says he was quite into the 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 corn. So he quite liked corn with a C, not a P, although it could be a P if it's not on YouTube. So they're saying he had proclivities about that type of thing, and she was not into it. All right. Yeah, so he was making shrimp. So that photo we have on the frying pan, that is shrimp and steak. So we're having a bit of surf and turf. So that's what they were doing. And here's a bit of a timeline of that night here from the show. And they said she got a call from David while she was at the Gurney Walmart between 6:15 and I think it's 6:30. She said David told her he was making some shrimp and would have some steaks ready or steaks, something to grill when she arrived home. Roxana stated that when she got home, she was not something, but she said she found Dave in the living room and blood by his head. She said that she tried pushing Dave and calling his name, but he never responded, and stated that she then called 911 as she went out of the house. So, and they say here, uh, information revealed, something here, action revealed, something revealed information that John, that's Limo John, was possibly having an affair. But apparently, according to the information here, this is a very old document. According to this document, both Roxana and Mr. Limo denied any type of affair. Roxana and Limo said they were that their relationship was not sexual in nature. No, of course not. It could never be that. I mean, that's what I like to do. I like to call people of the opposite sex several times a day, including at 7:43 a.m. in the morning, because our relationship is not sexual in nature. That's what I like to do. Chipmunk says shrimp and steak, boiled shrimp. Yeah, okay. More like Mr. Lim Ho. He does have many limbs and maybe a bit of a hoe. That is true. You might be onto something there. So it's all looking a little suspicious. One person doesn't really have an alibi. He has a fishing trip. The old I've gone fishing story. The other one was shopping at a Walmart when this murder took place. So, you know, seems a bit, seems a little bit, yeah, seems a little bit fishy. Very fishy for a fishing trip. So you can see where the investigation might be heading, right? It seems like they are looking for either one or both of these people. Could be could be his wife, could be a guy named Limo, could be both of them. I think it was most likely, well, I'll tell you later. But yeah, I want to show you something from inside the house. So they said when David was shot that the first shot missed. That when they tried to shoot him, they have a bad aim apparently, and they missed and hit a photo frame in the home. And so whoever had the gun was not a very good shot, considering they were only about 5 feet or between 2 and 5 feet from the victim. There's the photo that the bullet hit on that first shot. So I don't know, someone with a bad aim who wants to kill a guy that no one really, not doesn't care about, but who's going to kill him after he just got married to the love of his life? There's where the photo was in the original walkthrough video up here on the wall. It's a little blurry, but it's the one on the left. All right, let me close some of my windows for you. So there you go. Let's see what else we have. That's the front of the home. That's the scene. All right, we did that. All right. Sorry, I'm just going through my many screenshots for you. Okay. So halfway through the episode, they start looking at Mr. Limo. They start looking at Mr. Limo, and you may be like, why are they on a boat? And well, we heard that he might have wanted to go or was going fishing. They think he had the perfect escape route and how to get to the crime scene. He wasn't fishing. He may have used his boat to get from one side of the lake to the other side of the lake where David lived. So he got on the boat, drove sort of around onto the other side of the lake or estuary, and then got out of the boat, tied it up, went to the victim's home, shot him, got back to the boat, and drove the boat back to the other side, got out, and then hid in his home. So they're theorizing that that could be a way this happened. And they take the boat out and they see, well, how long would it realistically take for us to commit this type of travel? About 10 minutes. So it's not that long at all. And it fits in with the timeline. So we get our first clue that someone has been lying for many years. Someone has been not telling the truth about what they did that night. Let me go over here. Yeah. So a witness, his girlfriend, I'm pretty sure it's Janie. John, Mr. Limo, told her that he had fallen into the water at the end of the dock after he had tied the boat up, from going fishing. Yeah, I'll show it to you. And had to wash his clothes. Seems reasonable. You fall off the boat, your clothes get wet, you have to put it in the washing machine. You might also do that if you kill someone and get their blood all over you, or you get GSR all over you from shooting someone at close range, that you get the gunshot residue all over you. Kim says, as you do when you have blood on you, right? So you have blood on you or water, if you believe Mr. John. I don't know that I do believe Mr. John, but that's what he told her. He told her I needed to wash my clothes because I fell into the pond or the lake. I don't know if I believe him. I don't know if I actually believe Mr. Limo. You tell me if you believe Mr. Limo. I don't think I do. So at the time, they yeah. So his wife, Roxana, when interviewed by police, told them this story about going shopping. They asked her at the time to take a lie detector test, and she declined. She's like, I am not going to do that. She refused. She's like, no, I don't think I'm going to take that lie detector test. And that she repeated her statement. She told police that she left to go work at the Gurney Mills at 5:45 p.m. and she spoke to the victim David on the phone at some time between 6:15 and 6:45 p.m. She came home after 8 p.m. and saw David on the floor with blood by his head. She claimed she became hysterical, grabbed the cordless phone from the wall, and called 911. Now, I can't play it to you, but we did hear it in the episode, and that's where I told you she sort of is fake hysterical on the phone. Like Erin Patterson? Like that. Fake hysterical. And then she just palms the phone off to the neighbor and says, you talk to them. And then in that background, you hear her say, I think he's been shot. So, you know, how would you know that he's been shot if you don't know what happened and you just walked in? It's sort of one of those leaking the truth type moments. There's also another leaking the truth moment, and if I can pull it up here, I'll show it to you. Where is it? Nope, it's not that one. By the way, Roxana tried to provide all her receipts from shopping to prove an alibi. So that's what after she came back, she kept all her receipts and tried to provide them to law enforcement to sort of alibi herself. Let me see. I want to find this bit where someone also leaks the truth because that's what we love, right? When people leak their own lies to people. This is it here. So, Mr. Limo John stated, uh, John stated he never saw it coming, and he told the cops this. And they were saying in the show that seems like a funny thing to say when in the crime scene they were able to demonstrate that he had his back turned to the assailant and possibly did never see it coming because they shot him in the back of the head and killed him. So seems like a weird thing to say that he never saw it coming when uh, John states to law enforcement that he's never been there, that he wasn't there that night, and he has no idea what happened at this crime scene. So two people, both considered people of interest, both leaking the truth in their own ways to investigators. So that's why we're always like talking about leaking the truth. It seems like people, whether it's subconsciously or deliberately, can't seem to keep ahead of their own thoughts. They just have to say things, and oftentimes they tell people the truth even though they don't mean to. And they say here, look, provided receipts for all the shopping stops, like for that evening. So, and then she also talked to David during the time frame around when the murders took place at 6:43 p.m. that we showed you on this timeline that we had up earlier. So, seems a bit weird, right? Seems a bit weird. Words matter. Leakage. Yep, leakage from the mouth or leakage from the butt. It all matters, right? You, it's all a dangerous game. Let's see. All right. So let's go through this a bit more. So she ran out of the house, made contact with her neighbors. The neighbor later told police Collins, that's her last name now, ran over to their residence screaming that her husband was shot. That statement to the neighbors was the first mistake, authorities say, as it was impossible to tell whether David was shot or bludgeoned to death due to the amount of blood at the crime scene. By telling neighbors he was shot, it clued investigators in that she may be complicit in the murders. She's very clever. Here, John told police that he was friends with the victim and visited the home that day, but that he had gone fishing and had not been around for the rest of the day. Definitely. Going fishing in blood, apparently. They say they interviewed him a couple of weeks later. He said he went to David's around 2 p.m. that day, but only stayed for 1 minute. He left, went home to wash and cover his boat, then went fishing by himself between magically 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's so strange. So not only did he go out and go fishing, she was out shopping all between 6 and 8 p.m. So weird. Very strange. Trying to alibi themselves. And then what I say here, in the documents, the court documents, he told police that he was shocked by the murder because the victim is not stupid. And he had loaded guns in the house and he never saw it coming. That sounds like more leaking the truth. So that tells you, like we said earlier, that the victim, David, would have to have had his defenses down because if he does have loaded weapons in the home, if a threat came through the door, he probably would have grabbed a weapon and shot them. The fact that this person was able to get the jump on him and shoot him before he even realized what had happened tells you that it must have been someone he knew. This guy, Mr. Limo, had already admitted to going to the property that day, leaking the truth, right? He said 2 p.m. Well, often people involved with murders lie about things. So he did go there that day, but probably not at 2 p.m. He went there sometime after 6 p.m. that night and possibly killed David. So more leaking the truth. People can't help it seems. They're saying here, he says he came home shortly after the phone call where he spoke to Roxana, whose last name's Collins now. But he did not recall. This was his girlfriend saying that he came home shortly after the phone call. Apparently, he called his girlfriend, but did not recall him coming home wet. So she's saying that he used the washing machine when he came home to clean his clothes, but doesn't remember him coming home drenched in water like he tells her about falling into the dock. Strike number 500, apparently. Yeah. Yeah. She also told police that Collins had stayed the night with him and his girlfriend at their residence the night of the murder in 2003. They're saying she broke off the relationship. He broke off. This is Mr. Limo. Broke off the relationship with his girlfriend on the day of Vanderzee's funeral because uh, he had told his girlfriend at the time that he did not love her anymore. So magically, when David is having his funeral and they're burying him, he magically tells his girlfriend that he does not love her anymore and does not want to be with her and leaves their relationship. The girlfriend also said she moved out of the house she lived in with Mr. Limo only weeks after the murder, but that some of Colin's belongings had already been brought in. So they had already started moving Roxana's belongings into Limo John's property, sort of before they'd even broken up, before Limo John and his girlfriend had sort of parted ways. They were already moving Roxana's properties into his home. It's pretty quick, right? It's pretty quick. Your husband of only 2 months is murdered, and you're already moving your belongings into who you say you met on a dating website, and your relationship only started after the murder. So you only sort of dated for a little, like a week maybe, and suddenly you're like, yes, I want to move in with this man. I want to start moving my stuff in, even though you know he has a girlfriend. It's all a bit strange. Um, so they were together for a number of years, but eventually they separated. And at this point in time, in 2025, they do not talk anymore. They're not associated with each other anymore. Cold Justice and the police department think this is a great time to finally interview them separately. They're like, they have no sort of allegiance to each other anymore. And often when this happens and couples break up, they don't protect each other anymore like they used to. So they interview them and they start asking the questions. I want to see if I have a screenshot of them in the vehicle. I may, or yeah, I do. Yeah. So here's Roxana. This is what she looks like sort of today. This is when she was interviewed in the car on the show, and they're asking her all these information about what happened on the night that your husband was killed. And they're like, we know it was Mr. Limo who killed your husband. And she's like, oh, I really don't think so. Talking in her best granny voice, her best granny voice. You would think she's anyone's grandma. And she's like, oh, I don't think so. I don't think he had anything to do with it. And then they ask her, Did you know that when we searched on your husband David's computer, we found naked photos of you?" And she's like, uh, oh, I'm shocked. I didn't know." And they're like, "There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's fine." And they're trying to put this pressure on her, trying to put this like sort of put her in an uncomfortable spot to try and get her to break or talk. Um, at the very same time as this interview is going down, they are also interviewing Mr. Limo in a car as well. And they tell them, while we're interviewing you, we're also interviewing the other one. So there's nowhere to go. You can't pick up a phone and try and call them and try and, tip them off that the cops are coming. And they try and get them to talk about what happened that night. But neither of them crack. During this sort of like interview, neither of them sort of break. None of them. So here's a bit of a it's one of their breakdowns of their whiteboard, but there's their sort of what they get to after this interview. So they tried very hard. They didn't really get anywhere. They even say she seemed they didn't think she was lying. They thought she seemed very genuine, which he says is Kelly says she's that good. She's that good at lying. She's that good at believing her own story that even Kelly was like, "Wow, I didn't pick up any sort of deflection from her at all." Mr. Limo, on the other hand, the conversation starts really easy. They're like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Come and talk to us in the car. Tell us about what happened." He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I wasn't there. I was fishing. I was out fishing for the time. I don't know what happened. I don't know why you're talking to me. I didn't go there." And then they sort of start to turn the screws on him, and they're like, "What about this? And we think it's you. And there's only really one person who might do this to David." And then he starts to get angry and agitated. And he starts talking about how he has a lawyer and everything should go through his lawyer. And unfortunately, the interview sort of shuts down and he starts referring to talk to my lawyer. Everyone keeps telling me that I shouldn't say anything without my lawyer present. So they don't really get anything from him, unfortunately. But I can tell you that it was not in vain. It was not in vain. Actually, we do have a bit of a photo. Here's the both of them back in the day. Here's a photo of both Mr. Limo and Roxana back in the day. There you go, an old photo of them both. I have some good news for you though. Towards the end of the episode, when it feels like all hope is lost, there's an update. Not long after Cold Justice leaves the area without a resolution, the police department did take the case to their DA and they decided to press charges for murder against Roxana and Mr. Limo. So Mr. Limo and Roxana are now in jail. They are awaiting trial. So while it didn't happen while they were there, their sort of persistence and trying to get something done for the family, it just took a little bit longer after they were in the area, but it did happen and they are currently awaiting trial. Now, I have some more for you. A couple of months ago in July, one of their legal teams here, I'll find it, tried to get the case thrown out of court. And if I can find it, I'll show it to you. It's really interesting. I've never heard of well, I have, but I've not heard of it happening this quickly here. It's not that one, but I can't find it. I'll find it in a minute. But this is when they were. It was only about a month ago, on August 13th, that here motion to dismiss was denied, and they were bound over to go to trial. So they found enough evidence, probable cause evidence, to go to trial. So the judge thought there was enough there to put them on trial. They're both aged 70 years old now. They are both in their 70s. And by the time they get to trial, they may be even a little older. So both Roxana and Mr. Limo, John, were bound over for trial Wednesday morning after the court commissioner denied their motions to dismiss the 2003 Vanderzee murder case. So they tried to get it thrown out, did not work. They said after reviewing the defense's 21-page motion to dismiss and the state's written response and the replies from both defendants, the court allowed the charges to stand and found probable cause for the case to proceed. They're saying following the ruling, a contested preliminary hearing was held. Kenosha County Sheriff's Detective Lieutenant Neil Paulson, the commander of the Detective Bureau and lead investigator on the case, testified on the witness stand and was cross-examined by the defense attorneys in a comprehensive evidentiary hearing. They said, yeah, so we know the evidence for it. They are both on $1 million cash bail each, and I don't think they're going to get out anytime soon. Oh, no, they're now free. Jeez. So they both posted $500,000 of cash bail and are now free pending trial. So they're actually out in the community now. Out in the community. Wow, $500,000 bail. Who's got $500,000 lying around in case they get, banged up for a homicide charge? Jeez, $500,000. They're saying with preliminary hearings complete, the case will now proceed before Judge Anthony Milosakis, who is widely respected in the legal community as a fair and even-handed judge. The duo are due back in court on October 22nd for a judicial pre-trial. So if it goes to trial, it'll be sometime next year in 2026. So we're right at the beginning. We're in pre-trial right now. And yeah, it looks like it will probably be next year. Could be late this year, but I wouldn't like to bet on it. I'd probably think it would be next year by the time they get through some of this. Let me see if I can play an update video for you. Yeah, I'm going to put their images on the screen. So what do you think? Even if they are found guilty of murder, they are 70, probably 71 or 72 by the time we get through trial. What would you give them? If you give them a 25-year life sentence, they're like, if you make it to 105, you may be able to get out on parole. You've got to make it to 105 though. Yeah, I don't know if that would happen, but there you go. Released from jail on a $500,000 bond since being taken into custody in early June of this year. No, only Collins. Okay, when was this posted? 11th of June. Okay, so by 11th of June, Roxana had actually got out of jail on the $500,000 bond. It took a little bit longer for John to get out, but he has since posted that $500,000 bond as well and is free until trial. So they are currently in the community. And they're saying here, Roxana was married to Roxana was married to David, the victim, and she was using the name Roxana Vanderzee at the time of the murder. She has since remarried and now uses the last name of Collins. That's why her last name changed to Collins halfway through our sort of timeline. So there you go. She has been married a few times. Let's see. I want to get you a update video so you guys can see. So what it seems like in the aftermath, a very simple case, right? I think even in the beginning details I told you, you all picked up that it was probably the wife or the secret boyfriend. Didn't seem like that hard of a case, right? But when you're missing a smoking gun in evidence, you have to try and find that circumstantial evidence and build the case that way. And I think that's what took some time for them to do. Why it took 20 years or so, I don't know. but I guess it happens sometimes. So here, I'm going to take you to TMJ4, WTMJ TV Milwaukee, and this company. Actually, let me check something. TMJ4. Okay. All right. I'm going to take you here. I'm going to play you an update video from them. So this was after Cold Justice got involved and after the arrest. So here we go.
Thank you.
Still to come on the news at 6, a Kenosha County cold case about to be in the national spotlight. This weekend, the Oxygen Network's true crime series, Cold Justice, will feature the murder of Navy veteran David Vanderzee.
Our Kenosha County reporter, Glenda Valdez, spoke with the sheriff about this decades-long investigation and what this recognition means for the community.
It's been 22 years since David Vanderzee was killed inside his Randall home. For decades, no answers. Now his story is reaching a national audience.
I just appreciate the fact that we were able to get it to this length, and that Cold Justice did want to get involved. The opportunity to get your work put out there like that, and be proud of it.
Over 20 years ago, Vanderzee was found shot 5 times in the back of the head in his town of Randall home. Investigators say new witness statements recently helped move the case forward, and 2 people, including his wife and her alleged lover, are charged with first-degree intentional homicide.
I remember responding to the house to guard the scene. I mean, I wasn't investigating the scene, obviously, but you think about the fact that the family doesn't have closure, the community doesn't have closure, the detectives, they take these cases home with them in their hearts and their minds every single night. They don't have closure.
The Kenosha County Sheriff says this case highlights the persistence of his detectives.
Literally decades of work, and the individuals that conduct this investigation and the professionalism that they've shown and their commitment is a testament to what we do here, and just how much that community and how much we all here appreciate them, and that they didn't give up and they don't give up.
For the victim's family and the community, this national spotlight is more than television. It shines a light on years of investigative work and reminds everyone that cold cases can heat up after a long period of time. The episode premieres this weekend, showing what it takes to get answers. In Kenosha, Glenda Valdez, TMG4 News.
So there you go. Pretty cool episode. A good one to start season 8 of the show. Got to get sometimes with Cold Justice, we don't get a resolution. Sometimes they go out to these places, investigate the crime, and can't seem to find what they need to make a case, right? But to open season 8 with one where they actually get an arrest and someone that's going to get to go to trial, they'll get to air the allegations in court and let a jury decide what's going on here, is great news. It's exactly what Cold Justice is all about. It's all about taking these cold cases where families are left waiting for decades and giving them some hope that they can finally have that resolution that they've been looking for. So it's a great one to open the season. Marilyn said usually no resolution. Season 7 had a lot of no resolutions. Now they had some big ones. They had a couple of really good ones in the season that, even 1 or 2 of them in the entire season would be brilliant. Especially that one in Texas, that cold case that had dated back to the 90s. That one was really good. But yeah, pretty cool. I like that we started with an arrest and a trial. Someone was saying in the chat, like, how often does this happen? They have about a 50% success rate if someone is charged. I think it is about 50%. I think they've had 60 people arrested and they've had 25 convictions or something like that. It's almost 50%. of people charged after the episode of Cold Justice actually do time or are convicted. So about 50%. Yeah, sure, you can do that if you want. Do you want to come up? Is that what you want to do? Is that what do you want to come up and talk to people about it, or you want to talk in the chat about it? Either is fine. I don't mind. Either is fine. All right. So, great episode. It'll air. It's probably airing right now if you're on the East Coast and the West Coast. You're probably getting a replay happening right now. I just want to see if we get one more little update to this one. Yeah, I'll show you when they were arrested back earlier this year. It's a very quick little update, but I'll show it to you.
2 suspects are now in jail in connection with a cold case murder in Kenosha County more than 20 years ago. Authorities took Roxana Collins and John Viscosil into custody, first-degree murder charges. They're accused of killing a man in Randall, Wisconsin in September of 2003. She'd been captured in McHenry, Illinois last week and has been extradited to Kenosha County. He arrested in Kenosha and he's being held on $500,000 bond.
I love how they say captured, like there was some sort of giant manhunt for them. And they're like, oh, we had our best officers trying to track down this geriatric woman. They're like, she's very sneaky. She's been, crawling through scrubland, hopping over fences, but we finally captured her. We tracked her down. Same face as in her wedding picture, no smile. They look very unhappy, very unhappy. Not how they expected to spend their retirement, I don't think. Here, let me... Yeah, I'll put this in for Joe. Joe, there's a link in the chat. You can come up and talk about your Valdez case if you want at some point. I can probably hear you when you come in. Hold on. Let me set something up here so that if you come in, Oklahoma. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to grab something for... Yeah. "16-year-old. Hey, buddy, I hear you. Hold on. Give me a sec. I'm just trying to get a photo up of London. Hold on. All right, there we go. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
good
how
to-
you doing?
Hopefully I can hear. Hold
Can
on.
you hear me? Let
Hold
me
on.
check my settings. Audio. I think we're
Yeah, I
good.
can hear you.
Okay, good deal. How are you?
Good. How are you? How's your trip out to Colorado?
Good. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. That was not at all what I expected it to be.
Well, what was the best thing you did out there?
Honestly, it was talk with Vinny Politan one-on-one.
Oh yeah. How
Like,
did you do that? Did you just see him in the walking
yeah,
around?
we kept running into each other. So the very first night is the welcome party. That's Thursday night. That's not the official kickoff. Like officially day one was Friday, but Thursday night they have the welcome party. It's just a big bar with a live band and lots of people having drinks and intermingling. And they do have a VIP section that us regular folks were not allowed to go into. But luckily, some of the like more popular people like Vinny and like Ray Hermosillo from Lori Daybell case, the detective from Rexburg, they came out and they talked with us, and it was amazing. But I wore my Braves jersey with Joe Schmo 88 on the back of it so people would recognize me, right? And he's a Mets fan. So like right off the bat, we start talking baseball. And
That's
then
a good icebreaker.
Yeah, it is. It is. And Jonesy, so actually all three of them, so they have a podcast that's called the Tangent Podcast or something like that, a true crime podcast. He and Al and Jonesy do that podcast. So that's separate from Court TV. But those are all three of those are Mets fans, like diehard Mets fans. So we had some conversations. And then the next night, just like ran into each other in the hallway at the end of the night and talked more baseball. And the next night, so strike three, third time's a charm. The next time I ran into him, I'm like, hey, I've got this serious case that I'm looking at in Oklahoma, and I would love to pick your brain about it, like how to get more exposure on it. And he said, okay, be at my booth early tomorrow morning, and I'll talk with you about it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So did you get to break down the entire case for him, or?
No, definitely not the entire case at all. He's hovering at like 30,000, 35,000 feet. So he's like picking out nuggets out of it. And one of his first questions was, where's the nearest big TV market? I'm like, I have no idea. This is rural Oklahoma. Like maybe Amarillo, Texas might be the nearest big TV market. But that was like one of his first questions. So that tells where he's coming from, right? Because it's, for those bigger markets, for those bigger broadcasters, that's what it's about. It's about getting views and getting viewers and getting clicks and likes. And that's
I was going to say I've done a lot of Texas cases. I've done, I don't know, hundreds. And even going into Texas, one state south of Oklahoma, there's a lot of cases that come out of Texas that don't go anywhere outside of Texas. Like they have so much crime and murders and things that happen down there, especially in Houston and stuff like that. I'm not even sure that's a big market for you, because like half the people wouldn't know half the cases from that area.
Right. So what this case is about for me, and has become for me and for the family now, is about getting justice for London. So, but let me just say that I was very grateful to have those 10 to 15 minutes I had with Vinny, because he did give me some pointers on how to get more eyes on the case. And one of those is networking. So you having me up tonight, I'm very grateful for that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I gotcha. So what's next in the we'll bring
Okay.
it. We talked about it a little while ago. What's happened since the last time we spoke about London?
Okay, so the last time that I did a live was on August 31st, and we had just got the summary report from the medical examiner's office. The final report with the tox report came down on Thursday from the Oklahoma State Medical Examiner's office.
Is it public, or?
It is a public record. That's how I actually got it before the family got it. And I actually got it before the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation got it. And he was pissed because the family called him up. Mom called him up and they're like, hey, we're sitting here looking at the medical examiner's report. And he's like, how did you get that? You shouldn't have that yet. They're like, we got it from the media. And he's like, so he still hadn't had a chance to digest it yet. But the lack of information in that report is disturbing. Like, you don't see anything about fingernail swabs. You don't see anything about other swabs that should be done. In the case of a 16-year-old who was found alongside the road in her underwear, right? There should be other swabs done.
It should be an R kit done. Do you think they redacted it for public, or is this completely
there are no redactions. There are none.
That's concerning. Because you would think how many pages is it?
It's like 10 pages ish, 10 to 12.
So like one is the intro, one is the diagram, and then one
There's no diagram. There is no diagram. There's no diagram. Nope.
What?
Yeah.
That's odd. I don't think I've ever seen a medical examiner report without the body diagram with injuries, scuffs, things that look abnormal. That's strange.
Yeah, it's very concerning. And so here's another fact that a lot of people don't know. The Oklahoma State Medical Examiner's Office lost their national certification a couple of years ago, and they have not regained it since.
For
As a medical,
forensic.
yes.
Hmm.
There's
That's,
a National Medical Examiners Certification Board, and they revoked their license a couple of years ago, and they haven't regained it since.
Yeah, let me look up something.
Yeah, no problem. So then the family reached out to the district attorney's office. And in Oklahoma, this particular region has one district attorney for 3 counties, including the one that London was found in. And the email that, so they emailed the DA, and the DA emailed back, and it was incredibly embarrassing. He went into victim shaming and victim blaming, and he asked the mother why London wasn't home safe in bed and drug free that night that she went missing.
Oh, that's a good one. We need to get that in front of some big media eyes.
Yeah.
That's pretty awful. That is basically putting the death of a daughter onto her.
Yep. And like if every single teenager that snuck out of their house at night wound up dead,
Right.
how many dead teenagers would there be in the world?
Hundreds of thousands.
It's very disturbing. So I did my very first live stream on this the day of her funeral. Family didn't know about it. I didn't know the family, but they reached out to me after that, and they appreciated how I handled her story with respect. And they said, okay, we'll agree to come on after several weeks. And they all have my personal phone number, and we communicate on a regular basis. But tomorrow's live stream is going to be packed with a lot of difficult stuff.
Well, I hope everyone here watching will go watch it. What time is it? 4 p.m. again tomorrow?
4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, yes.
So I hope you go to Joe's channel. Yeah, I'll put it up. If someone hasn't subscribed, which I'm hoping you already have, that you'll head over and watch it. So now that the medical examiner report has come out, what is the next step for the family? Because there's no suspect, right?
There are 2 persons of interest. There are 2 young men, aged 19 and 20, who were last seen with her, and one of them in particular is reportedly. So I have to say this stuff with a caveat that all of this information comes from the family, because all of my FOIA public information requests have been stonewalled. Like, I have not gotten anything from law enforcement. The only thing I've gotten is the medical examiner's report. That's it. They won't share any other information, which it's an active investigation, so I can kind of understand it. But on the other hand, the family's looking for questions, so we've got to get some at some point in time. Where was I going with that?
I was asking what the next steps were.
Okay, yes, the next step. So the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, Special Agent Ryan Beck is investigating this. And the family does have contact with him on a regular basis, which is a good thing. But they have to reach out to him. He never reaches out to them to give them updates on the case. They have to text him, call him, and be like, hey, what's going on? He's an award-winning special agent with the OSBI. He's the one that investigated the case of the Kansas moms that were murdered in the Panhandle.
Right.
Yeah. He investigated that, and he won an award for that this year. But he supposedly, according to the family, has never called these 2 adult males in for an official interrogation / interview to the OSBI office. Never. He went to their house and he put them in his car, in his OSBI car, and he interviewed them in his car, and it was not recorded. There are no dash cams, there are no car cams, there are no body worn cams, there was no audio recording. He just wrote his report based on his interview after the fact. But no bringing them into the office. Like you and I know, I mean, we've seen enough interrogation videos. You bring them into your office, you turn on the cameras, and you give them the read technique. I mean, in
Make 'em
most cases.
squirm.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
what's next is the DA had some questions in his email to mom yesterday that he sent yesterday that he should already know the answers to. He wants to know who provided meth to London because that was the cause of her death, was a meth overdose. Her meth overdose was like 10 times the normal meth overdose. So more than likely, she didn't smoke meth to get to that level. She probably ingested it. And so the family's theory is that she's out with one of these two adult males. They have meth in the car. He gets his car stuck and he panics and he says, "Hey, will you swallow this for me so I don't get caught with it? Because you're a minor. If you get caught with it, it won't be that big of a deal for you."
And it popped, it ruptured.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens to drug traffickers a lot.
Yep. And hyperthermia was a contributing cause of death. So that meth caused her body to overheat and her body temperature may have gotten up to like 105, which is probably why she was found in her underwear, but also doesn't preclude you as a medical examiner from doing proper swabs.
It's so strange because that's normally like it's any victim, like if they were found partially undressed or in some sort of vulnerable position, they always do, vaginal, whatever, all those type of swabs, mouth, all that type of thing. So the fact that that's not even noted on the report, I'm not saying that there is SA here, but you never know. It needs to be documented. And I find that very strange. The only thing I can think of is that it was done and that you were given like some copy that they've got one copy for here and they're keeping an internal copy, but it's the only thing I
don't think so. I don't think so. I think they're incompetent. I really do. And I hate to say that because they've been very friendly with me. I mean, like I said, I've gotten the reports before the family and before even the OSBI has gotten them. So I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm just saying I have questions. The family has questions, and we would love to see these questions answered. And Special Agent Beck. So going back to your what is the next step, he has to submit his findings to the DA, and then the DA has to make his charging determination based on the findings that Special Agent Beck sends to him. But he's already sending like emails back to mom blaming her and blaming London for this. So it's it may be a fight. It may be a long fight, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the family, and I'm here for justice for London. Period.
It's almost like it needs a internal affairs investigation at this point to have a look at it, to not to investigate, but to oversee. Because when you start getting stuff like this, where there's a pushback onto the parents so quickly, it's not a good sign because it feels like they may just close it and be like, "Oh, some runaway got too high and died." Like that's not what we need here. We need like a proper investigation.
Yeah, and that's the direction they're headed. That is the direction they're headed.
Because it sounds wrong. Were they able to take? I don't know if you have it. Do you know what the mils per whatever for the meth was?
1.4, I think.
Per mil of blood.
Well, they had to take a liver sample because she had laid out alongside the road for 5 days, and yeah, so they couldn't do a blood sample. They had to take a liver sample.
So I think that's pretty high though. I think it's normally in points. Like it's normally like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, that
Exactly.
type of thing.
Yep.
That's really interesting. Did they? I guess she was out there for 5 days. the thing is, if she swallowed something like that, I wonder if they did like a stomach examination and did they find any plastic? Because most of these drugs are kept in like a satchel bag or, something, Glad wrap, that type of thing.
Right. Public records request. I'm trying to find her report. Where did it go?
Because that might help you in differentiating between swallowed them, not deliberately, but without a container, and then swallowing it for the purpose that you were talking about, to hide them.
Right. I'm trying to find her report. No, that's not it. I have
Your
so
computer's
many.
like mine.
Yeah, I have so many files on this. Oh, let's see. 912 public records request. So I submitted a public records request to the OSBI, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, and it was immediately swatted due to being an active investigation.
Yeah.
Like within a half an hour. So that tells me they have eyes on this case. They know the case that I'm talking about. Like, it didn't take them a week to come back to me and say, "Oh yeah, we're investigating this." No,
That happened to me in Texas. I was doing something for the beaver case down there, the Missy Beavers. I submitted a request because I wanted their surveillance video. They uploaded it so many years ago that it's become degraded now. You know how like the internet works, where they keep re-uploading, and each time you upload, it gets compressed, and the details keep getting like more and more pixelated. So I reached out to their FOI office, and I was like, "Hey, I want the original file that you sent out to the media back in 2017." And they were like, "Yeah, no worries, we'll get it for you. We should have it within 1 week." And I was like, "Great, I'm looking forward to it." And then I got an email a week later, and it was on the letterhead, and it was like their deputy, whoever the guy at the top is, it was his number 2. And he's like, "You're not getting it." He's like, "Stop wasting our time." And I was like,
what?
"Yeah." He's like, "Stop wasting our time. We don't have time to do stuff like this." And I'm like, "Dude, it's like a file that you should already have," because it was a media handout.
Right.
And they shut it down, saying it's an active investigation. We ain't giving you the file. Go away.
The FBI did that to me in Delphi, in the Delphi case. And well, come to think of it, Nick McClelland did that to me too. And he did that to me in March after their one and only suspect had been arrested, tried, convicted, sentenced, and incarcerated. I got denied based on the fact that it's an active investigation. If he's your only suspect, how is it still an active investigation? Like, explain that to me.
It's like a catch-all they use to try and
It is
just stop giving out information. They hide behind the whole, because what they could say, if it gets push comes to shove, they'll say, "Oh, we're still investigating people surrounding that suspect," and "Oh, it's still active." And it's like, no, you're not.
No.
But you can't prove them wrong. So
Right. And if you want to sue them, then all it takes is money.
Yeah,
Like,
lots of money.
Lots and lots of money.
Oh, they'll keep you in court for 10 years. They'll just run it around in circles, around circuit judges, and then up to the next level, and it'll be forever.
Okay, autopsy report, methamphetamine level was 14 mcg per G in the liver.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think that's 14 mcg. That's pretty high. That's like a high concentration. Hold on. MC14. mcg. So in post-mortem, I think that's pretty high. Yeah, 14 micrograms per milliliter of tissue. That's a pretty high concentration. Yep.
Yeah, and I have a medical examiner friend through the YouTube streets, through other common channels, that is an ME in New York. And I sent this to her, and she said, I went back 24 years in our office's records, in 24 years of records, that we have never had a methamphetamine overdose as the cause of death. which
Yeah, because it's not
which it
normally
is
the
here.
contributing factor. It's something else. It's always something
Yeah.
else, like hypothermia. It can be a bunch of other things. Like it's not normally listed as that type of drug overdose. They tend to use opioids, and even then they list it as other things like multiple organ failure, um, like heart attack, things like that. And then they'll say the secondary cause is the drug. So
Right.
yeah, strange way of putting it.
Probable cause of death: acute methamphetamine toxicity compounded by hyperthermia. Manner of death: accidental.
It sounds like they're not going to even investigate.
If they haven't called Jose and Braden in for an interview at this point, I have my doubts, and they have their doubts too. And if
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
If the DA's office is already like victim blaming, victim shaming, we have issues here. We have a fight
Record
on our hands.
everything. Record
Yep.
everything. Keep copies, because this type of stuff has like ways of disappearing and being denied later on. So make sure you keep copies of all those emails, and I would send it up. I'd send it up the chain, and I'd be like, "Hey, this is what's going on. This needs a second look at it. Family doesn't think that's what's going on."
There is a state senator that did contact Grandma yesterday, and he said he will be contacting the OSBI tomorrow. Now, I'm not sure where that's going to go, because we know how politicians can equivocate.
Right.
So, but at least, there is one out there that's listening to Grandma.
Yeah, it just seems like it was like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, like type of case. It just feels like there was no real full effort put in. They're just like, oh, we got a dead chick. Yeah, oh, it was drugs. It was probably drugs. All right.
Right.
And then,
Right.
then they're just like,
And she is a bit of a wild child. I mean, Mom and Grandma both admit that. Like, she had her issues. I mean, she was sober off of alcohol for a year, which means that she was on it before a year. So she had her issues, but that does not mean that she deserved to die, and that does not mean that she does not deserve to have a proper investigation into her death.
yeah, it reminds me of like a lot of the cases that I do are sex worker cases, and I do a lot of like sex worker based type of investigations, and that has the same sort of stigma associated with it, where you even mention that you do anything in that line of work and they just treat you as not human, and that feels like the same type of sentiment that's going on here with London.
I'm going to email you a link to the petition. So her family started a petition just to raise awareness for this. So
Okay.
I'm gonna email it to you, because it won't let me post it in chat. But just remember that the caveat is that both of these persons of interest, these adult males that she was last seen with, have not been charged. They haven't been indicted. They haven't been arrested, but they are mentioned in the petition just because they're the last adult males to be seen with her. So,
And do you know what they have to say about that? Have they put it anything
Um,
public?
that's funny you say that, because after my last interview with Mom on August 31st, one of them dropped some comments in below after the live, and he professed his innocence. And I'm all for innocent until proven guilty. So I offered for him to come up and to talk about it, and he hasn't responded to that yet.
So these guys are all over 18, so they can talk. They don't need
Yes.
a guardian. So
Correct.
I don't see what's stopping them if they really believe they're that innocent. It only takes one live show to tell everyone what your side of the story is.
Exactly. All right, I got that petition emailed to you.
All right, cool. I'll put it up in the chat so people can check it out.
Thank you. Yes.
So your next big live stream tomorrow, what do you plan to do on it?
So what I want to do is be a little bit more linear in telling the story from beginning to end of what happened with London's disappearance and the lack of a search by the local law enforcement agency, Hooker Police Department. And then we're also going to talk about this email from the DA And we're also going to talk about, Brittany is London's mom. So Brittany Valdez has a friend whose name is Rochelle, and she's going to law school, and she's super smart. And she just went into Chat GPT and she asked a bunch of questions like relevant to this case. Like, say an adult male was seen with a 16-year-old 3 miles outside of town. Could there be potential legal charges against this adult male? And Chat GPT is like, yes, according to Oklahoma law, blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna go over that in detail, with the caveat that these men are innocent until proven guilty, and that this is Chat GPT. But the fact that there have been 0 charges brought against either of these guys, and they haven't even been brought in for a proper interview, is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Who was the original agency that had the jurisdiction on this? It didn't go straight to OSBI, did it?
No. Hooker Police Department. So she lived in Hooker, Oklahoma, a very, very, very small town. I think they have 3 police officers.
Okay.
They have the chief of police actually used to be the county sheriff of Beaver County, Oklahoma. But now he's just a small town police chief. He would not let them organize a proper search party. He said, nope, you're not going to do it. She's just a runaway. She'll come back. And for a couple of days, she actually was texting with mom and grandma and her sister Paris. So two sisters, Paris and London Valdez. She was texting with them for a couple of days, and then June 7th. So that was June 5th. She left grandma's house in Hooker. June 7th, all of the texts stop. And that's when her date of death has actually been stated as, was June 7th. So for 5 days, and that's when family reported her as a runaway, missing, whatever. And that's when the Hooker Police Department would not allow them to organize a formal search party.
It's like that small town mentality with policing coming, I thought they sort of stopped doing that 30, 40 years ago. But the more you get into true crime, the more you realize it's still around. It's just been pushed under the surface a lot more, but it still happens quite frequently. Like we saw in that the case where the judge was shot and killed in his chamber by the cop. It's the same thing. That was not as small as this, but small town mentality. That guy was running a sex ring out of his bloody office, and everyone in the town knew about it, but they didn't say anything because it's such a small town that they're not going to go against the judge of the town because they could impact their family, their business, and this is some of the issues that come up. So similar to this one, I'm guessing.
That's the feel that I get. I mean, we have a lot of investigating yet to do, but that's the feel that I get.
I think you're on the right track. It definitely feels like, and you get to those police stations, especially when it's only like 3 people or something like that. Now it's at the OSBI. It's sort of different. It's a larger office, but when you're at like that level, it's like, who do you push to next? Because you can't I'm just going to go to a different officer or a detective, because you can't. There's only 3 of them. But at least now that it's at the OSBI is a huge office down in OKC. They have many, many investigators. So maybe if you push hard enough, it'll get thrown onto someone else's desk who actually gives a damn. So yeah,
we just have to keep pushing. We can't give up. So thank you everybody for your support and listening to this case. It's a doozy, and it just found me by accident, or I found it by accident, or my investigator instincts, whatever it is, whatever you want to credit it to. I just drove through this small town on my way back from Phoenix, Arizona, after Lori's second trial, back to Indiana. And I just happened to stop in this little town, and it wasn't because I needed gas, because I didn't stop in every little town on the way. I just happened to stop in this town. And when I got to my hotel room that night, I Googled it and I found London's case, or it found me.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of how it happens. That's how I got involved with the Aaron Patterson case. I was just looking at stuff and I came across like one paragraph in the paper, and it turned into 2 years. So I hope it doesn't turn into 2 years for you, and you can sort of get answers quicker than that. But There's got to be another way to get help with this. I mean, the thing when it gets up to the OSBI level, right? There's sort of outlet valves for these type of organizations that if there's a problem, there's somewhere you can go to register that complaint. I don't know how much it'll do, but at least if you keep filing them, they'll be like, why does this guy keep filing these complaints? So if it gets to that stage, at least there is that outlet valve that you should be able to tackle and try and, kick the hornet's nest, so to speak.
Yeah, sometimes when you kick the hornet's nest, you get stung. So I got to be
You don't
ready
live
for
in
that.
You don't live in the state though, right? You don't live in
No,
Oklahoma.
I don't. But I am going back at some time in the near future. We have things to investigate in the area where she was found. Like I want everybody to be able to see this remote area that is 3 miles outside of town where her body laid for 5 days for no reason, for no good reason. So I am going to have to go back at some point, but to be determined.
It'd be really cool if you could get a 3D camera and walk through that area with it. And then if you upload it to YouTube, people can move around the area for themselves and see. It's sort of like putting the viewer into that area. So you and them can have a more immersive experience.
Oh yeah, very good idea. Very good.
Because what cameras are you shooting on when you're out in the public domain, not at home?
I have my phones. I have my Galaxy S21, and now I have an iPhone 16.
Yeah, I came from photography before I did this, so I have some bigger cameras, but I mostly use my phone on one of those really fancy tripod things. What do you call it? Like the DJI thing. What's it called? Yeah, I got one here. Oh, the Osmo thing. The Osmo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I use like the Osmo because that gives you like the balance and stability. So you don't
Right.
get that shakiness all the time. So,
Right, the gimbal kind of settles it down.
yeah, so that's what I've been using is one of those because I think nowadays you don't have to take a DSLR out there. You don't have
Right,
to lug that around.
right. Yeah, I used something like that when I went live at CrimeCon, and I like walked through the crowd and down the stairs to the outdoor area. I used something like that. Yeah.
Should have just strapped it to your chest and walked around all day and like had like a
I do have a body worn cam. I have not used it yet for any live streams. Well, I don't think I can live stream with it, but I haven't even recorded anything with it. But
Is
I
it
need
like
to.
one of the is it the same brand as the cops use?
Exactly. Yes, it is. It's
Oh,
exact
that'll
same
be
brand.
cool.
Yeah.
Because you'll get the same little logo up at the Action logo.
Right. Yes. Yes. Which is even funnier because I honestly didn't pay that much for it. I think it was like in the $150 range, which
Oh.
drives me nuts when local police departments say they can't afford to have those on their officers. Like Hooker PD does not have body worn cams. Canton PD does not have body worn cams.
I really thought they were more expensive.
It wasn't that expensive. I bought it months ago, so I honestly don't remember what I paid for it, but I don't remember it being all that expensive.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought they were like, how like when there's stuff for industry and it may seem very simple to us, like, oh, it's like a GoPro, but they always like mark it up for industry things like military, policing, stuff like that, because that's where they make their money. I was like, oh, these are probably like $1,000 each or something. But yeah, 150, $200, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking back through my purchase history, seeing if I can find how much I paid for it. I buy a lot of stuff off of Amazon. I have to scroll through some pages.
Me too. I can't find anything. Like if you asked me to find something a month ago, I'm like, it's not going to happen. I can't find it.
There's my lapel cameras. I bought lapel cameras for Lori's trial.
To wear into court or?
No. Nope.
I know you can't do that, but I was wondering if that's what you were using it for.
No, for interviews outside of court. Yep, I can. it's too far back.
Yeah. I heard that there was someone down here that got caught wearing a pen camera into a courtroom down here for a Supreme Court trial, and they got charged over it.
Yeah, in Delphi at one of the hearings, there was a gal that was busted with Google glasses.
Oh, geez. That's clever.
And yeah, and she tried to say, well, I'm not wearing my watch and I have to be wearing my watch for it to be able to record.
Is that true?
I don't know. I've never had Google glasses before. I don't know if it's true or not, but it
I
was
don't
a
know
good
either.
enough it was a good enough excuse that she got away with it. They just said, take them off, don't put them back on, or you'll get kicked out of court.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't think I've ever owned a pair nor been interested enough to buy a pair. I just don't think the technology, like every time I've seen it used, it's so gimmicky and so like chintzy that I'm just like, I'm not going to pay $1,500 for this because I'll use it once to make a video and I'll never use it again, and it won't be worth the money. So
Right. Yeah, that Cam Pro on Amazon, $150.
wow, that's pretty good. I really thought they'd be thousands of dollars. So there's no excuse for police departments not to have body cams. So
None at all.
but there was a huge when they first brought those back in like 15 years ago. Man, the pushback from the freaking people, like the rank and file, they were not a fan of them. They were like, nope, we don't want them. They tried to ratify against them. But I think they've done more good than bad with policing. I think it's held people accountable if they turn them on. And it's helped capture things that we would never have seen before if they weren't around. Like, how many crimes do you think we've witnessed where if that was any other year and they didn't have them, we would just read about it and would never have seen the type of things that happen to police. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it covers them as well because they can be accused of abuse or any number of things, and the camera helps to protect them as much as it does whatever they're investigating, whoever they're investigating.
yeah, I mean, there was that. It was like a year or two ago, and it was on a highway. I think it was in Texas, and they pulled over that truck. And the guy fired on them, like full on, like AR-15, and started firing on their car. And I think he killed a couple of them. And you would never have seen that if they didn't have the dash cam and the body cams and that. And that ended up being a big deal because they were able to show what happens to police and how deadly traffic stops can be, and it showed you sort of how heinous this guy's crime was too. Like, I think they had drugs in the car or something, and he just pulled out this gun and started just mowing them down. Like, just you would never believe it if you didn't watch the video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jonna
Well,
says,
thank you
keep
for
pushing.
who's that?
Jonna.
Oh, thank you, Jonna. We are. I am not giving up on this ever. The family needs answers, and I'm here for them, and I'm here for London, most importantly.
All right. So 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, which is Sunday up during the football, but you should stop watching the football and go to Joe's channel at 4 p.m. and check out his video tomorrow and support this cause for London Valdez. I think we need to find out the real story here, not the make-believe, want to sweep it under the rug story. What really happened to this girl, that's what needs to be found out.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me up. I appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
See ya.
Later.
There we go. That was Joe popping in and telling us about his show for tomorrow at 4 p.m. I think it'll be a really good one. He's been following this it's been weeks and weeks and weeks now. And if it wasn't for Joe, I don't think half of the information about this case would have been known. When you type London Valdez into Google, there's very little being updated about it. There's one lady called Annette Lawless, who I don't know who that is, but it's on Facebook. She posted about it 3 months ago. That was the last update. KVI, which is ABC7 Amarillo, which is Texas, they posted about it on the 29th of August, and that was just when they found her. Other than that, there has been no updates except for Joe's. Like, I will show you when I go on the Google here. Look, Joe, right here. This is Joe's channel. This is one of the first videos that he did on her. But other than that, there's none. Look, all the updates are old. 3 months ago, like the top result is 3 months. So Joe is the spear here. So Joe is trying to be the spear. Support him for me, and hopefully you can get some better news out of it, because the news right now is just ridiculous. If you don't remember, this was, again, this one, August 30. This is when the body has been identified near Fulgan in June. And this was like the OSBI confirmed the update and the name, which was for London. But that was it. That's all they've done. This little paragraph, what you see on the screen. That and this like 30-second video. That's it. So we talk about cases where people are getting no media coverage, no matter their skin color or whatever. This is not good enough, right? This 16-year-old, imagine if this was your 16-year-old and they're just like, oh yeah, some girl, she's like 16, she's reported missing like 3 months ago and she died. There's your article. That's all you get. And that's the only update that has happened really, besides what Joe has been doing. So get behind it, try and get some justice for London. And if it ends up being that there are no criminal charges to be had here, I don't think that's fully the cause. I think it's to find the truth. And that is more valuable than anything. If there are charges to be had, that is a bonus, but it's to find the truth, because that'll help the family. The family will be helped if they can just know what happened to her fully, not like, one sentence. Is that what we narrow people down to? Like a sentence or half a paragraph? They want to know what happened to her. Then they want to be made whole. They want the help of the state and the police agencies and the OSBI to give that to them. So hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can help with that. Mimi said we need to have maybe web sleuths and hidden true crime and anyone else that will be willing to get more heat on the law enforcement. I will ask Trish if she knows anyone in Oklahoma. I don't know if she does. It's not one of the states that she has dealt with a lot, but I will ask. I'll see if she knows anyone in that part of the world. But yes, you're right. Lauren Matthias or Trish might know someone too. All right. I'm going to get out of here. It's almost been almost 2 hours on this Saturday night. I hope you enjoyed the recap about Cold Justice. I hope you're off watching the episode on Oxygen Network as well. It'll be on again in 2 hours, about an hour and 40 minutes. It'll be on again if you need to watch it. And I'll be back tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow? I got no idea. We'll find out. I'll find something. Hopefully no Aaron Patterson. Hopefully no more. Hopefully no more updates. I think we're done with that one for now. Yes, thank you to all you guys for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it. Woman of Steel said the state of Oklahoma, Ellie in that area is corrupt as F. The two guys with London know what happened. They need to put their feet to the fire. Let's make fires and put feet to them. Thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe Mike King would know someone. He probably would. Mike King might know. All right. I'm going to get out of here. Have a great night out there. We got on early tonight for the first time in months. So, hey, if you like the early shows, let me know, and I'll consider doing more of them again. We used to be on at like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern. But if that's something you want to see again, let me know. Until then, until tomorrow night, I'll see you then. Good night, everyone. Bye.